It's 11:18 on November 21st. I will call the meeting to order. First item on the agenda is the land acknowledgement. The Public Safety Civil Service Commission acknowledges that we are on the ancestral lands and waters of the Coast Salish and Duwamish people and their descendants. We honor with gratitude the land, the people past and present. Next item is meeting guidelines. We are doing a hybrid session, so the meeting is being recorded. We'd ask that one person speak at a time. If you're speaking, we'd like to actually identify yourself so the record is clear about what you're saying. Any questions about the procedure? All right. So we have attendee introductions. Maybe to start, Ann, with you.
Oh, I'm Ann Vold. I'm with the City Attorney's Office. I'm a counsel to the Commission.
Joe Levan, also from the City Attorney's Office, counsel for the Commissioners.
Sarah Butler, Operations and Policy Advisor, Civil Service Commissioners. I'm Andrea Shealy. I'm the Executive Director.
Richard Green, one of the Commissioners.
Stacy Knoll, one of the Commissioners. Teresa Jacobs, Executive Assistant.
Great. All right. Next item is public comment. Do we have any public comment? Did we get any written public comment?
No, we don't.
Okay. All right. So the next item is the approval of minutes. I've reviewed the minutes of the October 25th meeting. They look good to me, so I will move that we adopt them.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The next item on the agenda is honoring our outgoing commissioner, Stacy Knoll. I have a resolution of the Public Safety Civil Service Commission honoring Commissioner Stacy Knoll 6 years of dedicated service. Whereas Commissioner Stacy Knoll served 2 3-year terms totaling 6 years of service as a commissioner on the City of Seattle Public Safety Civil Service Commission, beginning in 2019 and concluding in 2024. And whereas Commissioner Knoll was elected by her fellow commissioners to serve 3 terms as the commission chair, and whereas during her tenure, Commissioner Knoll presided over rule changes, appeal hearings, and provided invaluable advice to guide the Public Safety Civil Service Commission as they responded to COVID-19 and emerging public safety needs. Whereas Commissioner Knoll worked enthusiastically with her fellow commissioners and staff with a commitment to fairness and thoughtful deliberations. And whereas Commissioner Knoll is hereby committed for her outstanding service to the Commission and to the employees of the City of Seattle. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Public Safety Civil Service Commission Chairperson Richard Green, Commissioner Tom Applegate, Executive Director Andrea Shealy, Public Safety Civil Service Commission staff, council, and the employees of the City of Seattle hereby express gratitude to Commissioner Stacy Knoll for her years of dedicated public service, recognizing her unwavering commitment and contributions to the community, and extend our heartfelt wishes for happiness and success in all that lies ahead. Adopted by the Public Safety Civil Service Commission and signed in open session this 21st day of November 2024 at Seattle, Washington.
Wow. You're so detailed. A lot to me. And this experience you've all supported my growth from the beginning. There's been a lot of growth happening. I didn't get a performance evaluation today. If I did, it would mention just how supportive you've all been. We've learned a lot together. We've gone through a lot together. And when I think of this commission, I think of this being what government is supposed to be. We've had a lot of disagreements, sometimes on the record, especially in those, first few years. Disagreement in executive session, disagreement with stakeholders, but it mostly happened in a really respectful, supportive way. where people felt comfortable and encouraged to have different approaches and differing opinions, but we always landed in a place where we still had a lot of respect and trust and got on board to execute whatever was decided. And, you know, predecessors, other commissioners had a lot to do with that. And I really hope that continues, and I expect that it will, because the staff and all the folks who support the commissions really encourage that dynamic. And we're seeing that fall apart in other places in the country. But I think we can look toward places like this as an example of where the process works, and it's sometimes slow and it's sometimes painful, and we've certainly seen disappointments and frustrations, but we keep going, and here we are. So thank you, all of you, for everything from the last years.
And we also have a plaque suitable for posting in your home.
Yes. Your office.
Right.
On the internet, you put it on your social media.
No one asked.
I am gonna get a picture because we have a LinkedIn page now.
Oh, okay, great.
Okay, but I'll get one after. No, not right now. Afterwards, Dave. But I just want to say, thank you for your public service. It is so important to have people who have subject matter expertise, and I am so appreciative of all of our commissioners who have worked for the city of Seattle. But you had not prior to this, and so thank you so much for joining us for this 6 years. It has been really wonderful, Stacy, getting to know you, working with you. I agree you came into a commission that was like under a lot of duress. And you helped be a calming influence there. I have always admired the way that your open-mindedness to different perspectives, your just openness to learning from different people. Even people have, I think, very diverse perspectives than you have. And so thank you for modeling that for others and being a calming influence, I think, on this commission. We have had a lot of challenging events and challenging, perspectives come before this commission, and you have treated every single person who I have observed you treat every single person you've interacted with here with respect. Even when they have not been respectful to this tribunal. So thank you for that. I just really appreciate your service and knowing you.
I certainly would second that. I think all of your comments and questions that we've had in these meetings have always been very thoughtful and incisive. I guess that's what sort of impressed me most. You sort of cut to the chase. exactly what issue are we talking about, and what are really the critical aspects of that we need to discuss. So I've always appreciated your presence here. Yeah.
Thank you.
You have one more meeting?
Not if we take the opportunity to cancel the December meeting. So maybe this could be it.
Thank you all. Next item on the agenda.
So the next item is we want to introduce Mike Nelson, who we just hired as the Public Safety Exams Manager.
Can we have Mike come and sit here at the table with us and tell us a little bit about his experience and how he came to the commission?
Let's go back to Stacey. Hi, Mike Nelson, new Public Safety Exams Manager. Thank you so much for this opportunity. A little bit of background about me. I have went to law school at Gonzaga. Was also a deputy sheriff in Marin County for several years. Has served both in labor union as well as in local government for 8 years. Elected office for the city of Edmonds, so I bring a variety of different experiences. I've been here now for a week and have been able to start to, as best I can, act like a sponge and absorb and learn about all the amazing things. And I'm excited to be part of a team that is not only just at the forefront of what is happening right now, but also with all the challenges that we're seeing in terms of recruitments being down in all public safety, in all the state of Washington, quite frankly, most of the country right now. and seeing the creative ways that being able to both adapt and attract quality candidates, but also making sure that we hire quality candidates. And just excited to contribute any way I can.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the fire and police exam unit updates. Yoshika, you want to start?
Yoshiko will do the fire and Adelaide, who's remote right now, will do police.
Hello, everyone. Excuse me. I'm Yoshiko Grace Matsui with the fire exams. We have a couple of things that are in process, just a few small things. Currently, we are in the development process for our lieutenant exams, which will be administered in 2025. We're just about to kick off the development committee meetings for our fireboat engineer exams, which will happen in 2025 as well. I'm wrapping up the final register for 2024, which is the fireboat pilot, which will be published in December 15th. So we'll have a new register for fireboat pilot. We also have a small thing called firefighter exams happening right now. And I think you saw in the presentation earlier that we hit about 3,100 applications as of this week, and we're open for another week and a half, like eight days, something like that. So I fully expect that we'll reach anywhere from 3,300 to maybe 3,500 applications. The trick is this year is how many of those folks are going to follow through and complete all of their steps, because we collect the applications and then we send a bunch of reminders and touch points to say, hey, go complete your exam, which they do through a different software system that's managed by our testing vendor, the National Testing Network. So candidates have an extra about 10 days or so to complete that for those last minute Larrys who are like, oh yeah, I turned in my application, but the next step is completing the exam. And also if you applied on November 29th, you can't really cut off testing on the 29th because you may not get an appointment to do that test. It's about a 2.5 hour test. And so you have to allow for some folks to go, okay, now I've made this decision. I'm going to go try and schedule an exam, sit down, do it in person or do it online. We are also in the process to support the firefighter test recruiting oral board panelists and raters. So in the city of Seattle for the last, let's say, four recruitment cycles for firefighter, we've had civilian panelists be a part of the rating panel. So we usually have 3 individuals. 2 of them are uniformed firefighters or officers, and 1 of them is recruited from the city of Seattle employees, much like you might invite someone from another department to serve on your interview panel when you're hiring a new staff member, right? You go, hey, person B1, you usually work with this person, or they're going to serve you, and so why don't you come be on our panel, and the next time you hire someone, I'll go be on your panel. So that has been our solution to try and find, as you know, 30 to 50 people to serve on those oral boards. We're also in the process of recruiting the uniform members, and so I have, I think, close to 50 or so uniform members who have volunteered to do that as well. What happens with that in the meanwhile, while the testing is happening, is that we'll put together a training session that we'll deliver 4 times in early January to lay out what the process is. Here are the oral board questions. Here are the dimensions and scoring criteria. So we want to make sure every person is fully trained so that when they show up in our oral boards and they get handed this packet that they're used to judge people and evaluate people, they know how to do it to the standard that we use here. So we have 4 training sessions that are coming up in early January, and oral boards are scheduled to start around January 21st. We, over the years and years, I think I saw an example of like how big a register was in 2002 or 2003. I can tell you that the number of applications was probably around 600. So we've gone from something like a process that had 600 participants to something that has close to 3,500 people in that time, in that 20-some years. And in the past, we offered an oral board to anyone who passed the written exam, which was some kinds of paper. we need to start thinking about perhaps a new system because anyone who passes our video exam could mean 1,600 people are offered an interview. And we need to think about as these numbers just continue to increase, are we going to continue with that offer to let anyone who passes come through to oral boards? So it's quite possible that we could be doing 1,000 or 1,100 oral boards in January and February.
Right, and with going to an annual firefighter exam, we really do need to think about it.
Yes, the last time we did a firefighter exam in back-to-back years was 2018 to 2019, and we really hoped that the number of applications may drop, but they went from 4,400 to 3,500, so it's not a significant decrease only a year later. But of course, this is the kind of process that in order to preserve your eligibility, you need to test again. You can't just, if you want to be considered for the next 2 years, you have to apply each time the testing window is open, the application window. Yes, I'm very excited that we'll start working on moving to an annual process for firefighter. That is something that is getting considered in the 2025-2026 budget. And we are in discussion with the fire department about how we can support what seems to be a growing need of having fresh candidates go through that process. Let's see what else is going on. Those are the big ones.
So does the hiring process necessarily have to be the written exams and the oral reports? Can there be something else? I mean, I was thinking that it seemed, I thought I heard that a lot of people drop out because of the physical stuff. So could we put the physical exam after the written exam and then therefore decrease the number that would have to do the oral boards? Is that possible?
That's a good question. So how we're current, and I don't know the answer, but let me explain a little bit more about when the physical stuff comes in. So typically what happens is we do all the civil service testing, we create a register. The fire department says, okay, we have 60 vacancies, and so we want a certification of all the people who are eligible to be considered for that next step. The physical agility test is one of the things that's absolutely next. So you have to be on the certification in order to be moved through those next pieces. And I think typically in our business or our best practices here, we don't screen people for a physical agility test until they're really able to be considered. They're minimally qualified. We don't usually use it as a decision maker to say, well, you're not eligible to move on at this stage. It's not part of their minimum eligibility until we get to those pre-screening steps.
Yeah, so currently the PAT is, or what's called the CPAT for the fire department, is part of the pre-hire assessments done by by SFD.
Right.
Yeah, so it's post-register. That was a decision I think that was made a long time ago. So if we wanted to consider changing that up, you know, it would probably be a big discussion with the fire department because we'd have to make it part of the civil service process.
Mm-hmm.
And it is not on the police side either. The physical is not part of the civil service process.
So, Joe, would there be legal challenges if we change that process? Do you think?
We have to look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a significant change. So
Yeah.
there's implications. We'd have to. I hadn't heard about this idea before, but we'd have to.
Yeah, but we could also, there are lots of things we could do to, you know, make a decision about. I mean, we have the resources to do it now. It's a big process and we're planning to do it every year. It's important to the fire department that we do the oral board.
Mm-hmm.
They find a lot of value in that, and I do see that Sarah Lee's hand is up. But, you know, we're not looking to change anything up right now. I think if she goes just highlighting that, just like talk about the magnitude of it and, you know, but not necessarily looking to make a change on that. Is that correct, Yoshiko?
Yeah, I think there are other methods that we can use. One is banding. You say, hey, there's a whole group of folks who are coming forward, but we're only going to proceed with the top 33%, let's say.
Gotcha.
We just no longer have a guarantee that if you pass,
Right. You automatically.
move through.
Okay.
Or you could say, maybe we'll offer this to only people who achieve an 80% or higher or something like that.
Uh-huh.
It's possible as well. And there are other projects that are in discussion. I will say, since I have the floor, that you were talking earlier in another meeting about how when we had Executive Director Sheila Jonas in 2019, that there was a lot going on. Well, that's the same time that you started. And so just to recap what 2020 looked like in your first year as a commissioner, we had a global pandemic start at the very tail end of our own awards for the 2019-2020 firefighter process, where we literally had someone like collapse in a bathroom at a hotel and had to, like, people in spacesuits came and took him away. We had to shut down all of testing. That was something that you had to consider and decide, because all of our police testing was done in person. Nothing was online. So you came into some really, really tough choices. I didn't have a home office yet in early parts of 2020, so I was working from my couch. And we were talking about spouses hear you in your work voice, but I spent about 5 months trying to figure out when we were going to move our tests around and if they were going to be canceled altogether. And at one point, my spouse said, all you do is talk about moving something, and then moving it again, and then moving it down. And we're like, well, because the world has changed. We don't know when any of these things will open again. So those were the decision points that you came into. And I want to say thank you for your continued curiosity and support of us, because I think that it's a lot to learn, and you have very limited time during your month that you actually key into doing this type of work. So I really appreciate it.
Can I respond? Don't forget veterans preference.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna leave it out, but,
Speaking of you working on your couch, you were the first person I saw with the Zoom background that you used to use, and I thought it was your home. Until I saw someone else with the same background. And realized you don't work in a high-rise condo, beautifully built out 3,000 square foot.
yeah, it was a stock photo.
Yeah, another side of couch.
Good. It was definitely ad hoc, right, at the time. So again, I appreciate your curiosity. There were a lot of big decisions that happened in 2020. If you look at that dashboard again of police applications and that huge dip, that is the year that you started, because we had to cancel all police entry-level hiring that year.
Which is just shocking to think about that reality.
And then policing became very unpopular as a profession.
Yes, just several months later.
Literally
Yes.
just a few months later.
Yes, so it's a time capsule if you think about that, and thank you.
Oh, and Sarah, I see that your hand is still up, and I know we have an opportunity in a few minutes that both fire and police will get to give updates. I'm gonna have you hold your comment until that time, but we do want to hear what you have to say.
Okay, that's fine.
Thanks, Sarah. Adelaide, are you ready to give the police exams update?
I sure am. Are you able to hear me?
We can hear you, thank you.
Yay, all right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Adelaide, and I'm an analyst with the Public Safety Exams Unit. I am covering for Rachel today while she's out on a very well-deserved vacation in Hawaii, so we're very happy for her. But we do have some police exams updates for you all. I'll go ahead and start with entry-level police officer. So yeah, we've had a lot going on with entry level. We have recently implemented some pretty significant changes to our testing process with entry level police. And one of those changes is producing registers every other week instead of every 6 to 8 weeks. And we produced our second biweekly register last Friday on the 15th. That list had 47 candidates on it. And we have also started basically like doing individualized outreach to applicants in hopes of basically converting more applicants into test takers and getting people to follow up and schedule their tests. I want to give a big shout out to Thevia, who has been heading up a lot of those outreach efforts, and she's going to tell you a little bit more about that in a moment. And in terms of applications, we are continuing to see encouraging trends. As Sarah shared during the joint meeting this morning, we're on track to surpass 4,000 police officer applicants this year. And we haven't done that since 2014, so that's really exciting news. Yeah, we're currently receiving about 15 applications per day, which is about 2.5 times the number of applications that we were seeing this time last year. And I'll go ahead and move on to lateral police officer. So we're also seeing encouraging trends with the number of qualified lateral applicants. Compared to this time last year, we're receiving about 5 times the number of qualified lateral applicants. And what I mean when I say qualified lateral applicants are basically those folks who have been, their application has been reviewed and they've been confirmed to actually meet the experience requirements for that lateral classification. So yeah, great trends on the application front. We administered our last lateral oral board on Saturday, the 16th, and all 3 of those candidates passed and were referred over to SPD for further screening. And our next lateral oral board is going to take place on Saturday, December 14th. And then, yeah, finally, just to tee up promotional exams, we're also in the process of planning and developing the 2025 police promotional exams. So those include police lieutenant and police captain. And BVA has been working really closely with Rachel to support those exams and those processes. So I will hand it over to her to share updates with you all regarding promotional exams and candidate outreach. Thank you.
Thank you, Adelaide.
So Vivian Logan, analyst with the Public Safety Exams Unit. As far as promotion goes, we're meeting with the vendor, Amy Emerson from NTN, who will be joining us in person on December 6th. So we'll go over the lieutenant exam questions as well as the captain exam questions. And then as far as outreach goes, we've been contacting applicants when they apply within 48 hours. We're calling them to encourage them to take the exam and schedule it with NTN. So a lot of them wait a long time to do it. So we're trying to get them to not wait, although if they do wait, they have more chances to take the exam since we're not waiting 6 to 8 weeks to produce a register. We're doing it bi-weekly. So they can, if they miss this one, they can get on the next one. But we've been reaching out based on their preference, email, phone call, or text message. That's been actually going really well. I thought a lot of people would not pick up and it would go to voicemail, but actually the people that wanted phone calls are picking up. Oh. And it's nice.
That's great.
Good.
Thank you,
Good.
baby. I'm glad to hear that.
Thank you. The next item is the fire and police staffing information.
Should we start with Sarah Lee?
Oh, sorry, Ms. Lee, did you have something? Yeah.
She's getting.
Oh, what I was just gonna mention, it was based on what was said before, or a question about putting the physical testing. That actually was done in the early 2000s. And it was, that actually changed, and I think it's either between 2003 and 2006 with EEOC litigation. So that's just so that you have an understanding of the history. As it used to be done that before, but that changed, and it was because of some changes in the law and case law.
That makes sense, yeah. Thanks.
Does fire have their update? Ms. Towler, are you going to give that update?
Sure. Hey, Dory Towler here. Let's see, we've had 87 separations this year. We hired 2 recruit classes for a total of 69 hires for the year, and our current staffing is 984. We've issued 53 conditional offers for February 2025 recruit class number 122. We currently have 49 candidates still pending medicals and psychs. Any questions? Cool.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, Alan McKenzie with the police. These numbers are, as of last week, 76 officer and student officer separations. Compare that to 90 year-to-date last year, so better. Hires, 63, compare that to 56 this time last year. So correct trend there. I don't have the current staffing numbers for at least the Q3 numbers available due to issues with Workday implementation. I can give you the Q2 numbers again. I gave you last time. That would be 1,012 calls.
What was the number?
1,012.
Thank you.
Great, thanks. Yep. All right, next item on the agenda is the executive director budgets and departmental updates.
Okay. Well, for those of you that attended our meeting right before this one, you did get to hear a lot of departmental work and updates. But for those of you who weren't here, we're really excited that the reorganization of our department to include the Public Safety Exams Unit has already been done by MOA. That was as of October 1st. And if the budget, as the City Council has, they haven't made the final vote yet, but as it looks right now, they will be voting to also move the budget to this department. There were also some budget amendments and in the balancing package to add a position to this unit to make it possible for the Public Safety Civil Service Commission to do annual firefighter testing rather than every other year firefighter testing. And so we talked a little bit about that, but that's a big change for this department. Otherwise, you know, we are continuing to process appeals, do the regular work of the department, requests for probationary extension, requests for reinstatement, to provide information to departments and employees about their rights and our processes. We are working with both of the departments right now to make sure that we are supporting their needs. And I'm looking for my budget report, which is, thank you, green page, great. We are still within our allocated spending for this year. But I'm happy to answer any questions. There's really nothing extraordinary other than the reorganization to report. There are some costs related to those, but we are budgeted for those, and we're on track to make sure that everything is accomplished by the end of this year.
So this new employee, when would that person start?
We will start a hiring process in the new year. I hope to have them join us the end of Q1 or more likely the beginning of Q2.
And so we'll do the same sort of hiring process that we did with Mike and Stevia.
Yep,
okay.
It'll look just like that. Yeah, I've been really excited about the candidates that have applied to our positions that have been open this year. We've obviously made 2 really great hires and we're really excellent promotion. So I expect and hope that that will continue.
Yes, we have gotten good candidates.
We really did.
Really impressed with the candidates we got. All right, the next item on the agenda is the case status report updates.
All right, that is starting at page 6. I'll just talk about the appeals that we have right now. The commission has 3 appeals that are open. Hill will be the first one to go to hearing, and we are going to start. We're also looking at a future appointment to the commission to replace Commissioner Knoll. We do have some good candidates that we presented to the mayor's office, and they are doing their due diligence to make sure that they are able to select someone who, one that they think is good. But we're looking forward to that. Once that person is appointed or we've been able to identify who that person is, we will be able to reach out to commissioners to start scheduling the Hill versus SPD appeal. The parties have identified the late April, early May timeframe for their availability. They expect that will be a 4-day appeal that is a disciplinary termination. And I think that's a reasonable period of time to hold that hearing. We will be mindful of the exam schedule to make sure that we have the space to conduct that appeal. And former Officer Hill has indicated that he would like to do that appeal in person, which I think is very reasonable. But to have witnesses who are not available to appear in person will be allowed to appear remotely. Officer England, that is a suspension. So we are waiting to hear from Officer England and or Spog to find out if they're going to grieve that suspension. If they do not, Officer England has obviously indicated that he would like to go forward with his appeal before the commission. Officer Willis did not request Spog to grieve his
suspension. And so it says first pre-hearing is to be determined, but actually I think we scheduled it for the first week of December. Is that correct, Teresa? Yeah. So that one's moving forward, and we'll find out more about that matter at the pre-hearing conference in the first week of December.
Great. This is sort of off topic. Jill, when we do these types of appeals, they are quasi judicial, right? Does the commission ask questions of the witnesses, or do we act sort of like appellate court or judges, and we just let the parties present their witnesses with their own questions?
Well, you are as a quasi-judicial body, kind of decide how best to interact in the proceedings to get the information you need so you can make a good decision. So.
Okay.
In my experience, and Stacy, you can speak to this as well, the commissioners wait for the parties to do their presentations and then ask questions at the end. Or if it's the right time, they can jump in and ask a question, especially like if a witness is gonna hop off the stand. Make sure you do get all your questions answered as the finder of fact.
Okay. Good enough. All right. The next item on the agenda is action items, the 2025 chair nomination and vote. We have to elect a chair every year.
May I speak? No, I'm not gonna run for chair.
Tom Applegate is not here today to vote, and he told me, and I think it's okay to tell y'all, he was not going to nominate himself if you were able to attend to be the chair for 2020.
With that in mind, and given the strong performance from our current chair and my eternal gratitude for the work that he's done in the last year, I would nominate Richard Gray to be chair in 2025.
Thank you. I'd be happy to do this. All right.
I support that choice. Richard has been a wonderful chair. Very supportive, very knowledgeable, very willing to be involved. Thank you, Richard.
And you set a great tone during meetings, which I think is really important, especially when things get contentious. So nice work.
Thank you.
Stacey, you want to bring a motion?
I would move, thank you, to nominate,
To
appoint Commissioner Green to be chair for the duration of 2025.
All right. For lack of anyone else here, I guess I'll second that. So any further discussion? All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed. Okay, that's the action of the commission. Okay, there's nothing that we need an executive session for. Is there any old or new business? I would move that we adjourn.
Is there any discussion about
the next meeting?
in the next meeting? Is there, if you were going to cancel, you could now, or you could wait and not just keep it on schedule and then decide what you want to do?
There is no business that needs to be conducted at this point for that meeting. I think it would be fine. And it is like a pretty standard practice of this commission to cancel the December meeting, so.
All right, so why don't we cancel that? Okay. All right, with that said, I will again move that we adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion, not all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We stand adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Stay the same.
11:57.
Almost a record. That's